My sister says I destroyed our family. My mom says I've turned cold. My dad doesn't say anything at all. But when they showed up at my door, pretending nothing happened, something in me snapped. I finally told them the truth I've been swallowing for 19 years, and I meant every single word. I stared at the cream-colored invitation on my desk, the gold lettering catching the light like it was mocking me. For weeks. That's how long it had been sitting there. For weeks of me pretending everything was fine. But that morning, I picked it up, ran my thumb along the embossed edges, and tossed it straight into the trash. My high school graduation party had been a big deal, at least, that's what it was supposed to be. Mom had custom-ordered those invitations, probably spent close to $200 on them. She'd handed them to me with that rare, beaming smile of hers. "We're inviting everyone, sweetie. Aunt Linda, Uncle Doug, the Hendersons from church, Dad's work friends. It's such a big accomplishment." For a second, I almost believed her. Almost believed this was going to be one of those rare, magical moments where I got to be celebrated. But in my family? Good things never lasted long. It all unraveled on a Tuesday, 10 days before graduation. I came home after my shift at the grocery store, tired, smelling faintly of produce and cardboard, only to find Mom waiting at the kitchen table with that look. You know the one, like she's about to deliver bad news but wants you to swallow it with a smile. "Claire, honey, we need to talk about the party," she said softly. My stomach tightened. "What about it?" She sighed, the kind of sigh that already tells you she's decided something without you. "Your sister's been feeling really left out lately. She thinks everyone's making too big a deal about your graduation. And, honestly, your father and I think she has a point." "Amber. Of course. She's 16, I reminded her. She's in 10th grade. What does my graduation have to do with her?" Mom looked at me like I was the unreasonable one. "You know how sensitive she is. She's been crying in her room every night because she feels invisible. Everyone's talking about you, your accomplishments, your future, your college plans. She feels like nobody cares about her anymore." I almost laughed. "She's sad because I'm graduating high school? Don't be dramatic, Claire," she said, shaking her head. "We just think it would be better if we postponed the party. Maybe something smaller, quieter. Amber suggested we could have a family dinner instead. Wouldn't that be nicer? The 5 of us. Mom, Dad, Amber, me, and Ethan, my 12-year-old brother who, frankly, only cared about Fortnite and pizza rolls." I stared at her. "You want to cancel my graduation party because Amber's upset people are congratulating me?" "We're not canceling it," she replied carefully. "We're postponing it." "For when?" I shot back. "After she graduates in 2 years? So she can feel special too?" Her mouth tightened. "You're being selfish. This is exactly what we're talking about. You always need to be the center of attention." The irony almost made me choke. I had spent my entire life being invisible. Amber, golden-haired, blue-eyed Amber, was the sun my parents revolved around. When she threw tantrums at 13, she was expressing herself. When I cried at 13, I was too emotional. When she made the honor roll once, Dad took her to Disneyland. I'd made honor roll every semester since 5th grade, and got nothing more than a distracted, "That's nice, honey." She wanted dance classes. She got them. She wanted a laptop. She got a new one. She tried guitar for 2 lessons, got bored, and still kept the $350 instrument collecting dust in her room. Meanwhile, I'd been working since 17 to buy my own beat-up Honda Civic, paid for my own gas, my own insurance, everything. I applied to 12 colleges, got into 8, including my dream school across the country, with a scholarship I earned. And now, they wanted to cancel my party. Because Amber couldn't handle not being the main character for 4 hours. I kept my voice steady. "I'm not postponing my party. You already sent the invitations. People already bought gifts. Aunt Linda's driving 4 hours. We'll call everyone and explain. They'll understand," Mom said, like it was nothing. "I don't," I whispered. "Claire," she said, her voice sharpening, "you need to be more understanding. Let Amber have the spotlight for once." Is that really so much to ask? Something in me cracked. For once? Amber's had the spotlight my entire life. Every time I achieved something, it was barely a blip compared to her smallest win. And now that I've worked my butt off, now that I'm going to Stanford on a scholarship, you want to cancel my party because she's jealous? "Don't raise your voice at me," Mom snapped. Dad walked in then, still in his work clothes, tie loosened, looking exhausted. "What's going on?" "She's being unreasonable about the party," Mom said quickly. "Our daughter graduated in the top 10% of her class," Dad shot back, "and you're canceling her party." But it didn't matter. The decision was made. "Claire," Dad finally said, rubbing his forehead. "Your mom and I decided. We're doing a family dinner. Amber needs to feel valued too. By taking something away from me?" I asked quietly. "You're an adult now. You should be mature enough to make sacrifices for family," he said. I almost laughed. Sacrifices. Like the ones I'd been making my whole life so Amber could shine. "Fine," I said, my voice like steel. "Cancel the party." Mom actually smiled. "Thank you, sweetheart. I knew you'd understand." But she didn't know me as well as she thought. I went upstairs, locked my door, and opened my banking app. I'd been saving for years, every shift at the grocery store, every birthday check from grandparents. $9,154. It wasn't a fortune, but it was mine. Money they couldn't touch. I opened my laptop and started looking for summer rentals near Stanford. I wasn't just going to college. I was leaving. Then my phone buzzed. "Aunt Linda, I'm so excited for your party next week. I'm bringing your present early so you can go college shopping." My chest tightened. Actually, the party's cancelled, I typed back. Family stuff. But I'd still love to see you if you're free. She called immediately. What happened, Claire? So I told her. Everything. Years of swallowed feelings came spilling out like a dam finally cracked open. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, pack your bag. You're staying with me until you leave for school. Aunt Linda, I can't. You're not asking, she interrupted. I'm telling you. Pack enough for a few days. Meet me at Morrison Street coffee shop in 90 minutes. We'll figure the rest out. She was right. I was 19. Legally, they couldn't stop me. I packed fast, duffel bag, laptop, clothes, important documents, my diploma case. Downstairs, the smell of Mom's spaghetti sauce filled the house. Dad was watching TV. Amber was probably texting her friends, proud of what she'd pulled off. I slung the bag over my shoulder and walked toward the door. Claire, Mom called. Where are you going with that bag? Dinner's almost ready. I won't be here for dinner, I said flatly. She appeared in the doorway, wooden spoon in hand. What are you talking about? I'm leaving, I said. I'll be back for the rest of my things later. Dad rose from the couch. You're not going anywhere. Don't be ridiculous. I'm 19, I said calmly. You can't stop me. Mom's voice snapped like a whip. Claire Reynolds, you put that bag down right now. I didn't flinch. You made your decision when you canceled my party. I'm making mine. Amber emerged at the top of the stairs, confused, wrapped in an oversized hoodie. What's going on? She asked. Your sister's throwing a tantrum, Dad muttered. I'm not throwing anything, I said. I'm just done. I'm done being the spare child. I'm done pretending this is a family where everyone's cared for equally. How dare you, Mom hissed. After everything we've done for you. Like what? I laughed bitterly. Canceling my graduation party? Should I say thank you for teaching me I'll always come second? I turned the knob. If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back, Dad warned. I looked at him for a long moment. Okay. And then I walked out. Mom screamed. Amber cried. Dad shouted something about respect. But none of it stuck to me anymore. I threw my bag into my Civic, hands shaking so badly I had to pull over twice on the way to the coffee shop. But I made it. Aunt Linda was already there, 2 cups of coffee waiting, fire in her eyes. You did the right thing, she said the second I sat down. That was it. The dam burst again. I sobbed into my hands while she held them steady. Your mother's called me 14 times in the last hour, she told me. I didn't answer. She's panicking, Claire. They never thought you'd actually leave. They taught you to shrink yourself so Amber could shine. They never expected you to choose you. And for the first time in my life? I finally did. What if I've made a tremendous mistake? That thought hit me somewhere between the quiet hum of Aunt Linda's car engine and the warmth of her guest room later that night. It wasn't loud, but it echoed deep inside me, the kind of whisper that sinks its claws in and doesn't let go. Had I done the right thing? I lay there, staring at the ceiling, every moment of my 19 years pressing down on me like a weight. 19 years of being the second choice. The afterthought. The responsible one who didn't need praise because Amber always needed it more. Every achievement I'd poured myself into, barely a nod. Meanwhile, Amber could breathe and get a standing ovation. I replayed it all, the cancelled party, the countless birthdays that weren't mine but somehow still revolved around her, the silent dinners where I disappeared into the background. Did I make a mistake? No, I whispered to myself, my voice firmer this time. No, I didn't. When I said it out loud, something inside me loosened, like a knot that had been there for years finally giving way. Aunt Linda, who had been watching me quietly from the hallway, smiled. Then let's get you settled in properly, she said gently. You can stay in the guest room for as long as you need. Tomorrow, when they're at work, we'll grab the rest of your stuff. And after that, she grinned, we'll focus on getting you ready for Stanford. Hearing her say it out loud, Stanford, felt like breathing fresh air after being stuck in a smoky room my entire life. That night, though, just as my heartbeat finally began to steady, my phone exploded with notifications. Mom, you're tearing this family apart. Dad, this is what we get for raising ungrateful children. Amber, I hope you're happy. Mom's been crying all night because of you. Ethan, will you come back? I miss you. That last one made my chest ache. Ethan. My little brother. He wasn't part of this mess. He was just a kid caught in the middle of a storm he didn't start. I typed back quickly. I miss you too, buddy. This isn't about you. I'll see you soon. I promise. Then I turned off my phone and set it face down on the nightstand. The rest of their messages, Mom's guilt trips, Dad's accusations, Amber's drama, I let them pile up like background noise. For once in my life, I didn't jump to fix it. I didn't shrink myself to make them feel better. I just breathed. Graduation day came and went in a blur of sunlight, camera flashes, and the sound of my name echoing over the loudspeakers. I walked across that stage in my cap and gown, my palms a little sweaty but my head held high. The principal shook my hand, and for the first time, I felt like that diploma actually meant something. And then, clear as a bell, Aunt Linda's voice cut through the crowd. She cheered louder than anyone else there. Louder than any parent. Louder than the entire Henderson family put together. I spotted her in the bleachers, waving like I'd just won an Olympic medal. For a second, I thought it might hurt not to see my parents there. But the truth? It didn't. It felt freeing. Like a door quietly closing behind me. None of my relatives showed up, not even Ethan. Later, I found out why. Amber, in all her fragile glory, had scheduled a dental cleaning during my graduation. Not surgery. Not wisdom teeth removal. A routine cleaning. And apparently, she needed emotional support, so my parents decided that was more important than my graduation. Let that sink in. They genuinely thought me walking across the stage in honor cords was less significant than Amber getting her teeth polished. Summer came fast after that. I got a full-time job at a little bookstore downtown, a place that smelled like ink and dust and comfort. I saved every paycheck, stocked up on dorm essentials with Aunt Linda's help, and slowly started building the kind of future my parents never cared to prepare me for. She taught me how to budget, what to bring to college, how to file paperwork, even the little stuff like folding sheets to fit in a tiny dorm closet. It wasn't flashy, but it was real. It was love in the quiet, steady kind of way I'd always wanted. The bookstore became my safe place. My boss, Diane, a retired English professor with silver hair always tied up in a bun, listened to my story one quiet afternoon. She didn't cry, didn't offer empty sympathy. She just nodded and started slipping books on family systems and personal healing into my employee discount pile. "You remind me of my daughter," she told me one day. She had to leave home young, too. "Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit staying will destroy you." That stuck with me. I spent my lunch breaks in the psychology aisle, devouring everything I could about narcissistic family systems, golden child and scapegoat dynamics, and the long-term damage of emotional neglect. Every chapter felt like someone had cracked open my chest and written my story. It was validating and devastating. Aunt Linda noticed me carrying home stacks of books. We started having these long, late-night conversations about family and the things no one says out loud. And that's when she told me the part of the story I'd never heard. This didn't start with Amber. It didn't even start with me. It started with my mother. When we were kids, Aunt Linda said one evening while tightening screws on my new dorm bookcase, "Your grandmother used to throw the most extravagant birthday parties for your mom. Professional decorations. Ponies. Catering. Meanwhile, my birthdays were a sheet cake in the backyard." When I asked why, she said your mom needed it more. Because she was sensitive. I felt my chest tighten. That line sounded too familiar. "When I left for college, they didn't help me with a cent," she continued. "They said they'd already spent too much on your mom. When I graduated with honors, they didn't show up. She had a salon appointment." I blinked, stunned. I had no idea. She gave a quiet, knowing smile. "Your mom never learned how to share the spotlight, sweetheart. So when she had kids, she just repeated what she knew. Amber became her. And you? You became me." It hit like a punch to the chest, not because it was new, but because it finally made sense. "Do you think she'll ever understand what she's done?" I asked softly. Aunt Linda sighed and set the screwdriver down. "Some people never do. They're too busy starring in their own story to notice the damage they've caused in someone else's. Your mom, she might never wake up one day and say sorry." The weight of that settled deep in my bones. I'd always imagined there'd be a moment, a crack in her armor, where she'd look at me and finally see me. But maybe that moment would never come. "How did you stop being angry?" I asked. Aunt Linda gave a small, sad smile. "Who says I did? I just learned to build a life so full and rich that the anger doesn't matter anymore. That's the trick, Claire. You don't wait for their apology. You make your life too beautiful for their absence to ruin it. You turn them from the main story into a footnote." I stared at her, the smell of fresh wood and new beginnings filling the room. For the first time in a long time, I realized my story didn't have to orbit around them anymore. This time, I got to be the main character. When August arrived, I packed up my little car, hugged Aunt Linda tight, and drove toward the life I'd spent years dreaming about. California. Stanford University was everything I'd imagined and more. The campus looked like something out of a movie, red-tiled roofs glowing under the sun, palm trees lining the walkways, students biking past with the kind of easy confidence that made me want to match their stride. My classes? Tough, but in the best possible way. Every lecture lit up something inside me, like I was finally in a place where I didn't have to shrink to fit. For the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged. I made friends easily, something I never thought would come naturally to me. My roommate Sophie, a computer science major from Seattle with a razor-sharp sense of humor and a dangerous caffeine habit, became my anchor. We'd stay up late, sprawled across our tiny dorm room, talking about everything and nothing, family, weird childhood memories, bad exes, dreams we hadn't told anyone else. And the best part? She never made me feel like I was too much or not enough. She just saw me. I joined clubs, went to events, and threw myself into my psychology courses. I'd always been fascinated by the way people worked, and now I was learning from professors who'd literally written the textbooks. I was thriving, something I could have never done back home. But of course, my parents didn't vanish completely. In the first few months, they sent awkward, clipped messages. "How's school going?" Emails with links to random articles they thought I'd like. Then, in October, Mom sent a care package. It sat on my desk for 2 whole days before I opened it. Inside were my favorite chocolate chip walnut cookies, the kind she used to make on special occasions, a brand new Stanford sweatshirt with the tag still on, and a framed photo of us from 6 years ago. In the photo, we were at the beach. Ethan had his 2 front teeth missing, Amber was smiling, really smiling, not the practiced kind, and there I was, 14 years old, still holding on to this stubborn hope that maybe things would change. I sat on the floor holding the picture in my lap, and the emotions came in a confusing wave, nostalgia, sadness, resentment, longing. Sophie found me like that. She knelt down beside me and asked softly, "Hey, are you okay?" I laughed a little, but it came out shaky. "I don't know. Part of me wants to call and say thank you. Part of me wants to toss everything out the window. And part of me, I stared down at the photo. part of me is just sad because I can't even remember the last time we were actually happy together. Sophie wrapped her arms around her knees and said, "Do you want to know what I think? Yeah. I think grieving is complicated. You can grieve the family you wished you had, while still protecting yourself from the family you actually have. Those two things can exist at the same time." She was right. It wasn't either/or. I could mourn the idea of parents who were loving and supportive while also accepting that mine weren't. I could want change while understanding it might never come. I ended up sharing the cookies with people in my dorm. It felt weird to eat them alone. I donated the sweatshirt to the campus thrift store because, honestly, I already had enough school merch. And the photo? I tucked it into a drawer. Not on display. Not destroyed either. Just out of sight. They never apologized. Not once. Not for canceling my graduation party. Not for the years of favoritism or the quiet cruelty dressed up as sensitivity. Every message they sent after that was surface level, carefully avoiding the storm they created. So I matched their tone. I replied politely. Briefly. Updates about classes, nothing deeper. No emotional hooks for them to grab onto. The only person I truly kept close was Ethan. We texted and video called whenever we could. He told me about soccer practice, school, and the new video game he was obsessed with. I sent him photos of California sunsets and dumb bunny memes because he loved them when he was little. He'd ask, "When are you coming home?" And every time, I said, "Soon." We both knew it was a lie. Because the truth was, I had no plans to go back. That house, it had never felt like home. And now, for the first time, I was finally building one of my own. 7 months into my freshman year, something huge happened, something that shifted everything. I'd applied for a competitive research assistantship in the psychology department. It was a long shot. Those positions were practically reserved for juniors and seniors. But my advisor encouraged me to try anyway. So I did. And then, I got it. Not only did I land the position, but the professor told me he'd been impressed by my essay. I'd written about early family dynamics and how they shape long-term psychological development. I guess, all that pain I carried growing up had turned into something sharp, something powerful. Personal experience had found its way into academia. The job came with a small stipend, just enough to cover books and some living expenses, but the prestige? That was priceless. A freshman getting this post was almost unheard of. My name would appear on a published paper. Me. Claire Reynolds. At 20, I was already building a future my family could never take credit for. I couldn't help myself. I posted a photo on social media. Me in the lab, visitor ID clipped to my shirt, clutching a clipboard with a grin I didn't even try to hide. Excited to start my research position in developmental psychology. Dreams really do come true. The response was overwhelming. High school friends cheered me on. Professors left encouraging comments. Even people I barely remembered messaged me to say how proud they were. My old English teacher, Mrs. Carter, wrote the comment that nearly made me tear up. "I always knew you were destined for big things, Claire. I'm so proud of you." I screenshotted it and sent it straight to Aunt Linda. She replied with 15 heart emojis and a "told you so, kiddo." But from my family? Nothing. No likes. No comments. No text. Not even from Ethan, who usually reacts to everything I post. Later, I found out why. Amber had made a group chat, just the family, and told everyone to ignore the post. She'd called it attention-seeking and said I was rubbing it in their faces. And the worst part? They listened. The pettiness would have been funny if it wasn't so sad. 67 comments from friends, professors, people who believed in me. And radio silence from the people who should have cared first. Then, 3 days later, my phone rang. Mom. For a moment, I hovered over the screen, ready to decline. But curiosity got the better of me. "Hello? Claire." "Hi, sweetheart." Her voice was too bright. That particular sugary tone she only used when she wanted something. "Hi," I said flatly. "How are you?" "Busy. With school." "I saw your post about the research position," she chirped. "That's fantastic, honey. Very impressive." "Thanks." She didn't call just to congratulate me. I could feel it coming. "Listen," she said, "I was wondering if you could come home for spring break. It's been a while. Amber really misses you." I didn't say anything. "I plan to stay here for break," I finally said. "I've got work." "Surely, you could take a few days off," she insisted. "We'd love to see you. And you could tell everyone about your research. I'm sure the whole family would love to hear it." There it was. Not about seeing me. About showing me off. I was suddenly worth being paraded around now that I had something they could brag about to their friends. "I'll think about it," I lied. "Wonderful. I'll start planning." She sounded way too pleased. "Oh, Claire, your father and I were talking. We'd like to make it up to you. We know we may have handled your graduation party poorly. We thought we'd throw a belated celebration when you come home. Invite everyone. Make it special. May have handled it poorly." That was as close to an apology as I was ever going to get. "I'll think about it," I repeated. "I have class. I have to go." I hung up before she could say anything else. Sophie looked up from her laptop the second she saw my face. "Family. My mom wants me home for spring break so they can throw a party and show me off now that I've got something impressive to brag about." "Are you going?" she asked. "Absolutely not." She grinned. "Good. We're going to Mexico with Lily and Hannah. Tickets are already booked. You're coming." And just like that, spring break took shape, for college girls, a cheap resort, and no family drama. Mexico was perfect. Mornings at the beach, warm sand between my toes, ocean waves so blue they didn't look real. Afternoons wandering through local markets, buying snacks I couldn't pronounce. Nights filled with laughter and street music. Lily taught us Spanish phrases, which we butchered. Hannah dragged us to every photo spot she could find. Sophie made us laugh until our ribs hurt. On the third night, we ended up in a little tavern with live music. The band was playing American songs with a Latin twist, and their joy was contagious. We danced until our feet ached, sipped fruity cocktails that were way stronger than they tasted, and dreamed out loud. I want to open my own practice one day, I said over the music. Help kids who grew up like me. Make sure they know it's not their fault. Sophie raised her glass. To Dr. Claire Reynolds, future therapist and destroyer of toxic family systems. We clinked our glasses. To futures that belong to us, not to anyone else's expectations. I posted photos from the trip, beaches, sunsets, cocktails, us laughing until we cried. Mom left a string of voicemails asking why I hadn't come home. Dad sent a text accusing me of being rude. Amber said nothing. Which, honestly, should have been a red flag. The real storm hit in April, just before exams. I got invited to present my research at an undergraduate symposium. That was huge. Most first years don't even get considered for something like that. My professor personally recommended me, telling me my work showed exceptional insight for a freshman. I shared the news online, thanking my professor and tagging the university. And then, something I didn't expect, Stanford University's official page reshared it. That little post turned into a small hometown headline, local graduate makes waves at Stanford. They wrote about my scholarship, my lab position, my research on family dynamics. Even quoted my professor talking about my potential for grad school. The girl they once ignored was suddenly newsworthy. The moment the hometown article went live, my phone practically exploded. Suddenly, everyone back home wanted to reach out, neighbors I hadn't spoken to since middle school, old teachers, distant cousins I barely remembered. My inbox filled with congratulations and emojis and "we always knew you'd make it" messages. It was surreal. And then my screen lit up with a name I hadn't expected. Amber. For a full minute, I just stared at it, thumb hovering over decline. But some stubborn part of me, the same one that used to hope she'd finally act like a sister, made me answer. Hello? Her voice came out sharp, trembling with fury. So, don't you think you're so special? I blinked. Amber, what are you talking about? Stanford this, research that, she snapped. Everyone's so proud of Claire. Do you know what it's been like here? Everyone's talking about you. Asking about you. Acting like you're some kind of genius while I'm just the other daughter no one cares about. The irony hit so hard, I actually laughed. You've got to be kidding me. I'm not kidding, she shouted. You left, and now everything's about you again. You're not even here and you're still taking all the attention. Mom and Dad won't stop talking about you. Every family gathering, it's the Claire show. Nobody even asks about my life anymore. Amber, I said slowly, I'm sorry you feel that way. No, you're not. You love this. You love finally being the special one for once. Well, guess what? I told them the truth. I told them how you abandoned your family over a stupid party. How selfish and ungrateful you are. How all you care about is you. My stomach dropped. What exactly did you tell them? I told them you threw a tantrum because you didn't get your way. That you ran off like a spoiled brat and refused to forgive Mom and Dad for one tiny mistake. My pulse pounded in my ears. I even called Aunt Linda, she added smugly. Told her how you've been manipulating everyone with your sob story. A cold, steady anger spread through me. And what did Aunt Linda say? There was a pause. She hung up on me, Amber muttered. But that's because you've poisoned her against all of us. Or maybe, I said quietly, it's because she knows you're lying. I'm not lying. You abandoned us. No, I said, my voice calm and clear. I left after 19 years of being treated like I didn't matter. There's a difference. Oh my God, you're so dramatic, she hissed. We treated you fine. Better than fine. We gave you everything. You didn't give me anything, I corrected. I earned it. Every scholarship, every job, every opportunity, I fought for those. There's a difference, Amber. But I don't expect you to understand it. She scoffed. Everyone's finally seeing you for who you are. Your perfect little act doesn't work anymore. An act? I asked, almost laughing again. You think this is an act? Amber, I spent my whole life watching you get praised for breathing while I had to be perfect just to be noticed. And when I finally accomplished something worth celebrating, you couldn't handle it. You had to ruin it. So I left. And I built a life without you, without Mom and Dad, without all the manipulation and guilt. And for the first time in my life, I'm actually happy. That's not an act, that's freedom. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. You're such a... I'm done with this conversation, I interrupted, my tone cold but steady. Do not call me again. And before she could say another word, I hung up. For a long moment, I just sat there, the silence buzzing in my ears, my heart pounding like a drum. Then I exhaled, slowly, deliberately, and set my phone down. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. Completely, finally done. The moment I hung up on Amber, my hands were shaking, not with fear this time, but with something heavier. Something final. I didn't even give myself time to think. I just scrolled to Aunt Linda's number and hit call. She picked up before the first ring even finished. I was about to call you, she said, her voice tight. Amber just lost her damn mind at me. My stomach dropped. Wait, did she call you? Oh, honey, Aunt Linda sighed. She didn't just call. She showed up at my house. Yelling in the driveway like a banshee. Said I'd ruined her family by convincing you to abandon them. I sat up straighter. She came to your house? By herself? Aunt Linda hesitated. No. Your mother was with her. My blood turned cold. Mom was there? They ambushed me after my morning walk, Aunt Linda said. Both of them. Amber screaming, your mom nodding along like a wind-up doll. They said I'd twisted you against them, that you'd become this ungrateful little monster who thinks she's too good for her own family. I pressed a hand to my chest, trying to breathe. Amber was hysterical, Aunt Linda went on. Crying, shouting, saying awful things about you. Just pure venom. I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. Don't apologize, I murmured. You didn't do anything wrong. What did you say to them? Aunt Linda's voice turned firm, almost sharp. I told them exactly what I thought. That they'd spent 19 years ignoring you, that they created this mess by canceling your graduation party out of jealousy, and that you're thriving precisely because you got away from their toxicity. Then I told them to get off my property before I called the police. My jaw dropped. Did they leave? Eventually, she said. But not before Amber completely lost it. She screamed that you'd stolen her life, that everything should have been hers. Said it wasn't fair that you got to be successful while she was stuck at home being average. And Mom? I asked quietly. She didn't stop her. Didn't even try. Just stood there, nodding along, agreeing with every word. And Dad? Aunt Linda snorted. He stayed in the car. Didn't even get out. Just sat there pretending not to hear a thing while his wife and daughter screamed at me on my front lawn. Spineless, the whole lot of them. I fell back onto my bed, phone pressed to my ear, staring up at the ceiling. This is insane. No, Aunt Linda said softly. This is who they are. And honestly? I think Amber just did you a favor. She showed you the truth, clear as day. No matter what you do, how successful you become, they'll never be happy for you. They'll always twist it. Always find a way to make you feel like you're the villain for outgrowing them. Her words hit deep. Because she was right. The thing about dysfunctional families is that some small, foolish part of you always hopes. You hope one day they'll wake up, realize what they've done, say they're sorry, and maybe things will finally be okay. You cling to that hope like it's oxygen, even when every sign says it's hopeless. Amber's meltdown killed that hope completely. And I didn't realize how much I'd been holding onto it until it was gone. But then the fallout began. A few days later, I started getting messages, screenshots, tags, whispers. Amber had gone on social media and posted this long, rambling essay about me. According to her, I'd abandoned my loving family, turned into a snob because I went to Stanford, and refused to forgive them for one small mistake. She painted me as this arrogant, heartless daughter who'd cut everyone off for no reason. Of course, she left out the parts about years of favoritism. The canceled party. The emotional neglect. Every single thing that made me leave in the first place. And people believed her. At first. Comments started rolling in, people from our hometown calling me ungrateful, arrogant, fake. Even a few former classmates chimed in, the ones who'd always resented me for studying too much or acting smart. It stung. I'd worked so hard to build something good, and here she was, dragging it through the mud. But then something unexpected happened. People began speaking up. Classmates from high school who had seen the way my parents treated us. Former teachers who remembered the imbalance. Even old family friends who'd always felt uneasy about how Amber got everything handed to her while I was left to fend for myself. They started leaving comments, one after another, sharing their own memories. How they'd seen me working part-time jobs while Amber got a weekly allowance. How my parents skipped my award ceremonies but never missed her dance recitals. How they'd overheard my mom downplaying my grades while bragging about Amber's potential. And suddenly, Amber's little narrative began to unravel, publicly, unmistakably. The story she tried to spin collapsed under the weight of reality. For the first time, people were seeing the truth. Not my family's carefully polished image, not Amber's victim act, but the real story. Mine, Aunt Linda's response hit social media like a quiet earthquake. She didn't rant, didn't insult anyone, she didn't have to. Her words were measured, calm, and precise, but every sentence carried the weight of truth. She wrote, "There's more to this story than what's been shared. I won't speak ill of anyone, but I will say that Claire's choices were made for her own well-being after many years of being made to feel small. Sometimes stepping away isn't betrayal, it's survival." She didn't name names, but everyone knew exactly who she was talking about. And then, Mrs. Carter, my old English teacher, left a comment that broke me in the best possible way. I taught both Reynolds' daughters. Claire was one of the brightest and most hardworking students I ever had the privilege to teach. She earned every opportunity she's received. I'm not surprised she's thriving at Stanford. What surprises me is that she endured what she did for as long as she did. I stared at the comment until my vision blurred. I hadn't cried in months, but that did it. Because for once, someone saw me. The tide turned slowly, but surely. Comments started shifting. The whispers quieted. Amber's narrative crumbled under the weight of truth and first-hand accounts. Within 3 days, her entire post disappeared. Ethan later told me what happened. There'd been a massive blowout at home, Amber screaming that everyone was turning against her, Mom yelling that she'd embarrassed the family, and Dad retreating into silence, as usual. Mom tried to call me afterward. I let it ring. Dad sent an email. I never opened it. Amber texted me at 2 in the morning. "I hope you're happy. You've destroyed this family." I blocked her number and went back to sleep. Finals came soon after. I poured every ounce of emotion, hurt, anger, grief, into my work. And somehow, it paid off. I finished my first year with a 3.98 GPA. The department invited me back to the lab, this time as a paid research assistant. My professor even started talking about grad school and possible PhD programs. I was 20 years old, standing at the edge of a future I'd built entirely on my own. Summer rolled in. I stayed in California, working in the lab, taking a summer class, saving for the off-campus apartment Sophie and I had just rented. It was small, expensive, and perfect. Ours. In July, Aunt Linda came to visit. We spent a week exploring San Francisco, riding the cable cars, hiking through the redwoods at Muir Woods, and eating our way through every seafood restaurant we could find. She met my friends, toured the lab, even sat in on one of my lectures. On our last night together, over dinner at a little Italian place near campus, she looked at me and said quietly, "Your parents missed out on an incredible daughter. That's their loss, not yours." I poked at my pasta, then asked the question that had been gnawing at me for months. "Do you think they'll ever understand?" Aunt Linda leaned back, thinking it over. "Honestly? I don't know. Some people are too proud to admit when they're wrong. And even if they do, Claire," she looked me dead in the eye. "You don't have to forgive them. You don't owe them a relationship. You owe them nothing." I sat there in silence, letting her words sink in. "I used to think," she continued softly, "that family was supposed to be unconditional, that no matter what happened, you worked it out and stayed together. But I learned the hard way that love isn't unconditional if it's only given when you're convenient. What your parents offered you wasn't love, Claire. It was conditional approval, granted only when you made them look good, as long as you didn't outshine Amber." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "That's not love. That's manipulation." The restaurant buzzed softly around us, clinking glasses, quiet laughter, the smell of baked bread drifting through the air. But all I could focus on were her words. Because for the first time in my life, I believed them. We flew back to Aunt Linda's city that August. I needed to grab a few things from storage, stuff I'd left behind in my rush to start fresh in California. We planned everything with military precision, checking my parents' work schedules, Amber's summer program, even the time of day they usually ran errands. The goal was simple: get in, get out, no drama. Ethan was waiting when we arrived. He was 13 now, taller, all arms and legs, with a voice that cracked every other word. The moment he saw me, he sprinted forward and threw his arms around me so tightly I could barely breathe. "I missed you so much," he mumbled into my shoulder. I hugged him back just as hard. "I missed you too, buddy." We grabbed lunch at a small diner nearby, just the three of us. Ethan talked nonstop, catching me up on everything: his soccer team, his new friends, the fantasy series he'd been devouring all summer. He didn't mention Mom or Dad, and that silence said more than anything else could. Halfway through his fries, he asked, "Will you ever come back?" I glanced at Aunt Linda, then back at him. "Not to live, no. But I'll visit. And when you're older, you're always welcome to stay with me in California." "What about for college? Will you move back then?" I shook my head. "Ethan, I don't think I'll ever live here again. This place doesn't feel like home anymore." His shoulders slumped a little, but he nodded. "Yeah, I get it. Aunt Linda told me what happened with your graduation party. That wasn't right?" I froze. "She told you that?" He nodded. "She said I deserve to know the truth, since everyone else keeps lying about it." I reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "Hey, none of this is your fault, okay? Nothing that happened changes how I feel about you. You're my brother. I love you. That will never change." He blinked hard. "Even though I'm related to them?" "Especially because you're related to them," I said with a soft laugh. "Someone in this family has to turn out normal." That made him laugh too, and the heaviness lifted, for a little while. That afternoon, we went to the storage facility and began sorting through the boxes of my old life: yearbooks, trophies, stuffed animals, awkward photos from school events. I kept a few things. Most, I tossed or donated. There was no point clinging to reminders of a childhood that had mostly felt like walking on eggshells. We were just loading the last box into Aunt Linda's car when I heard the sound of tires crunching gravel. A familiar SUV pulled into the lot. Ethan went pale. "They're not supposed to be home yet," he whispered. Mom's car rolled to a stop 3 spaces away. She stepped out slowly, looking smaller than I remembered, older, tired, like someone who'd been carrying too many lies for too long. She approached like she was afraid I might bolt. "Claire," she said softly, "I heard you were in town. We're just leaving." My voice came out flat. "Can we talk? Please. Just a few minutes." Aunt Linda put a hand on my shoulder. "You don't have to," she murmured. "I know," I said quietly. Then I looked at Mom. "You have 10 minutes. We walked a short distance away, just far enough that Aunt Linda and Ethan couldn't hear. Mom twisted her wedding ring, a nervous habit I'd seen my whole life. "How are you?" she asked. "I'm fine. School's great. I love California." "That's good," she said. "That's really good." She hesitated. "I saw the article about your research. You're doing amazing things, Claire. I'm proud of you." The words I'd wanted my entire life landed like stones in my stomach. They sounded empty. Too little, too late. "Have you come to apologize?" I asked plainly. Her face faltered. "I just wanted to say we miss you. It's not the same without you." "That's not an apology," I said. "I know we made mistakes, with the party, with how things were handled, but we're still your family." I stared at her. "You canceled my graduation party because Amber was jealous. That wasn't a mistake, Mom. That was a choice. One of many choices that told me exactly where I stood in this family." "It wasn't like that," she said weakly. "Then what was it like?" I pressed. "Explain to me how it was fair that Amber got everything she wanted while I had to fight for scraps of attention. Tell me why it was fair to cancel the one event meant to celebrate my hard work because your other daughter couldn't handle 4 hours of not being the center of the universe." Her eyes filled with tears. Amber was struggling. I was struggling too, I said, my voice shaking. But no one noticed because I didn't scream about it. I worked harder. I kept believing that if I was perfect enough, maybe you'd finally see me. But you never did you? Because the problem wasn't that I wasn't good enough, it was that I wasn't Amber. She looked down, her hands trembling. I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to say you were wrong, I said quietly. I want you to admit that you treated me unfairly. That you chose her over and over again, even when it broke me. I don't want excuses. I want accountability. I did the best I could, she whispered. I exhaled, the last thread of patience snapping. Your best wasn't good enough. And I'm done pretending it was, just so you can sleep better at night. She wiped at her tears. Is that it, then? Are you cutting us off forever? I'm living my life, I said simply. If you want to be part of it, you know exactly what you need to do. But I'm done chasing you for love that should have been freely given. I turned and walked back to the car. Ethan was crying quietly, Aunt Linda's arm around his shoulders. Let's go, I whispered. As we pulled out of the parking lot, I didn't look back. Not once. Some doors don't slam when they close. Some just click quietly shut.